Well, here's a bit of news you probably won't hear anywhere. At least you're not going to hear it on the major media, any of those popular stations out there, probably even including Russia Today, huh? But it's about legalizing growing industrial hemp. It's a bill that was introduced last year. It's just got reintroduced, but it has a lot of wide bipartisan support in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. It was reintroduced last Thursday afternoon. So this was reintroduced on August 2nd. Today's Monday, August 6th, 2012. But this was just reintroduced very late last week. And it was reintroduced by Senator Ron Wyden, which is Senate Bill 3501, the Senate companion bill to H.R. 1831, Industrial Hemp Farming Act of 2011. So they're working together with the House of Representatives and the Senate, bipartisan support. Let's hope it goes through. You notice the major media is very silent on this. Now, just to preface a little bit, this is not marijuana. This has no THC in it. It's strictly industrial hemp. I don't smoke any marijuana, anything, so I don't know if you, the people that are listening, possibly who are totally against any type of marijuana use for anything. This is not coming from a proponent that is a user, and I just know that this product was a major competition to crude oil industry, and it can replace a lot of the energy sources that we use in the United States. It can be grown. Now, a lot of people heard of corn being used to produce ethanol. Well, industrial hemp, which grows about 20 feet to 15 feet high or something in some cases, it grows much, much, much faster than corn, and it produces a hell of a lot more biomass. It produces up to 10 times the amount of fuel that corn would. It's like the best on the whole scale. It's better than sugar beets, better than sugar cane, anything out there. Not only industrial use, but also it's a very good food source. It's a very complete protein. It's very healthy. The fibers can replace plastics, which can replace, a lot of things that are used by the chemical industries, and resolve a lot of the problems with recyclable waste, because the hemp fibers will break down eventually, whereas plastics are around forever and a day. So it has a hell of a lot of good uses out here. It's very common sense, plus it's a major economic boom. Now, this is the actual act, and I'm going to post the links where it is. It's basically called, the act may be cited, short title, Industrial Hemp Farming Act of 2011. Section 2, exclusion of industrial hemp from the definition of marijuana. In other words, taken out of the Controlled Substance Act. And industrial hemp was made illegal back in 1937. Really, it was because it was going to be more mass-produced because of an invention that came out that made it easier to separate the fibers and stuff, or process the fibers from the plant. And they're projecting it to be like the first billion-dollar agricultural industry back in the 30s when this new invention came out. That was to industrial hemp as the Eli Whitney cotton gin was to cotton much earlier. So it would enable hemp to be processed a lot faster. Oil industry basically is the main force, in the chemical pharmaceutical industry is the main force behind hemp, and not legalizing the growing of hemp, and also medicinal marijuana oil. Now, this is not about medicinal marijuana oil. This is strictly about industrial hemp, which is being grown in Canada, being grown in France, and of course, most of it is grown worldwide in China. Now, the other beauty behind this bill, or this actual concept, or this idea, which has a lot of bipartisan support and may go through possibly, but I would urge people to kind of put a bug in their congressman's ear or senator's ear, both of them, about this bill. The major media is not telling anybody about it. I didn't even see nothing on Alex Jones. I didn't see nothing on any alternative media. I don't see nothing on Russia Today, which people seem to love so much in the United States for some reason. But I realized that this is a viable, very viable, doable thing. It could very well happen that industrial hemp could be legalized to grow in the United States again, as it was back in the 30s and prior. This was the dream, actually, of Henry Ford. Henry Ford was producing cars made out of hemp that were stronger than steel. Even not just in the 30s and 40s, but the original Model T was to be produced out of hemp originally. Amazing. So this product has a hell of a lot of uses. Now, the other beauty behind it is this, that people, any individual can grow this product. It doesn't require like hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment and drilling equipment and exploration and technicians and geologists and maybe oceanographic surveys if they're going down the ocean to get like oil, for instance, right? In the case of hemp, it's like it's easy. It's one of the easiest plants to grow. It's very forgiving. It doesn't require hardly any pesticides at all. It requires no herbicides. In most cases, it requires no chemicals to be thrown on it. It doesn't need to be genetically modified. It's a great food source. It's a very complete protein, and it also has a lot of essential fatty acids. Now, I know today in 2012, there's a major drought going on through most of the country, but that's in most of the country. I could state like I'm in Florida, and Florida actually has above average rainfall right now, while the rest of the country is, in bad shape. But not every part of the country even is lacking for enough water to grow agricultural products. Like it's in Florida is above normal rainfall, Maine is above normal rainfall, Washington State, and that type of stuff. It seems the outer periphery seems to be pretty good on the rainfall. Even a lot of the East Coast seems to be above normal on rainfall. So this stuff can actually be grown anywhere by anybody, no high tech involved. And see, the beauty behind that is, you see, a lot of people don't realize with political freedom and stuff like that, a lot of that has to do with economic freedom at an individual level. Whereas the individual grants power to the government. You see, this actually can do a hell of a lot more in a very subtle way once it starts really taking root. And because maybe the person might, every single individual won't be growing hemp, industrial hemp, but it'll actually spring up a lot of industries around it. This might be a major focal industry in the whole United States. And I think it should be, because not only does it produce more fuel, 10 times more fuel than, say, corn, it can actually put us energy independent. It produces a hell of a lot of food. It solves the problem with plastics, recyclable. It also helps the air get clean because it's a plant. It's actually doing the opposite of the problems we had with the factories. It's cleaning the air. It's a plant. So it does a hell of a lot. But the main thing, and I think a lot of people miss this, it puts the economic power back into the small businesses. I mean, a few people can get together and grow hemp on, say, 40 acres or something like that and have a viable product. You can't do that with the oil. You can't do that with crude oil. You can't do that with chemical industries either. The people that are producing plastics and stuff, you can't do that. You got to have a lot of high-tech equipment. You might be involved in, patent rights and stuff like that and everything else. So it's a much more complicated procedure. But, the whole reason this thing has been illegal is not because of, people are stupid. It's because people have a racket. The oil industries have a racket, and the petrochemical industries have a racket. And they're protecting that racket. The major threat to that racket was hemp, and that's why they moved to make it illegal in 1937. And actually, something I'll put a little side note on here. In 1937, or around that year, a little bit before that, they found ways to process hemp a lot cheaper. So it was really going to become a major competitor to crude oil. And Henry Ford was a big proponent of using hemp as a fuel for cars and even in the body of cars too. He didn't want people using it to steel. He used stuff that was made out of hemp that was 10 times stronger than steel. So just think about that. A strong car that doesn't rust and runs on stuff that you plant in the ground. So that was Henry Ford's dream. So the big oil companies moved to make it illegal. This has nothing to do with marijuana or anything like that. It's the same plant, but this has no THC involved in it. As a matter of fact, industrial hemp has been perfected by the French to have far less THC. In other words, they really engineered it out of it by breeding it out of it, where there's like no THC in it practically at all. It's like you can never use this in the same fashion as marijuana in a million years. So they even perfected it where the THC content is down to like nothing. So it's not a drug. It's not a drug at all. It's an industrial commodity, and it should be the most important industrial commodity, bar none, for the United States of America and actually for the whole world. So this bill has been reintroduced just last Thursday afternoon, as a matter of fact. So that was basically just the other day, because today's Monday. And it was reintroduced by Senator Ron Wyden. He introduced Senate Bill 3501, and you're working with the House of Representatives, and it's got a lot of bipartisan support. Give these guys a call. Tell them you support this bill, which is, the short title is called the Industrial Hemp Farming Act of 2011. That's the short title of it. Tell them you support it. You're not seeing this on any of the major media, of course. You're not seeing it on the alternative media or nothing. So I just want to point it out, and spread the word on this, because this is going to actually, if this gets passed, it's not going to be a change like inside of 2 weeks. But if this gets passed, this is going to help very much so in a lot of areas, not only from the pollution aspect, but from the food aspect, the energy aspect, to the economic independence of people aspect, the political aspect, you name it. And it's simple. But, you just got to get this damn thing legalized so you can just do it, Then you don't have to talk about it. You can actually do it, which would be great.